Welcome back. Thank you for watching my introduction. I'm torn. I want to give my audience a fair sampling of the book, but I'm aware of the necessity to keep things short. So here I go, trying to walk that tightrope. In opening this second video, I would like to read one of the endorsements that have been offered for my book. This is from Dr. Malotki. Jack Weaver and his wife, Janie, have been my medical patients for many years. In addition to being an excellent writer and caregiver, Jack for many years was the premier chiropractor in our little town of Redding, California. I'm honored to write this recommendation. I believe this book will become a valuable adjunct to people who become a caregiver for a family member or a friend who develops dementia. This cruel disease robs the patient of something that none of our prescriptions can heal, their mind. Dr. Weaver's insight and personal experience, as well as the highly readable text, make his volume a valuable tool and map for others to use and follow. I consider the book to be something more. It's a love story, a story of unconditional love, dedication, spiritual insight, and strength. I can highly recommend this book to healthcare providers, caregivers, and anyone else interested in some hints at how to cope with the devastating disease. Signed, Richard Malotki, MD. I'd like to read a serious and then a more light-hearted entry from Going, and then a brief tribute for caregivers that were so helpful, and I've titled that Sunglasses. Before I do that, I suspect that a short article to serve as a bridge between the introduction and the passages that I will be reading today would be appropriate as an overall orientation to the book. So let me first read that piece, from which I took the title of the book, by the way. The first chapter I want to refer to is titled Going. This is sort of a snapshot of how we were before the onset of the disease, and then an illustration of how it slowly moved into our lives. It's a transitional piece. I said I did not believe in divorce. Janie agreed and said when she married, it would be forever. We wanted to be together always. We were 16 years old. We vowed for better or worse till death do us part when we were 20. Each anniversary since, for the past 43 years, we have reaffirmed that commitment at the celebration of one more year of building our love and the commencement of another year filled with new hope and anticipation. But as the years are added to our youth, we are changed. We become acquainted with reality and the uglier side of life, which like the incoming tide rises slowly in our lives, bringing with it the debris of disappointment and grief. She said she would be with me always, but now there's talk of leaving. And she speaks frequently of going away. Not that she wants to, I know. She has no stronger desire than to remain until death or the rapture, but she cannot. She sits on the sidelines, an objective observer, helpless to enter the game to change the score, and watches herself go away. She sees the master seamstress, now unable to thread a bobbin, the consummate cook, who cannot follow a recipe, even if she were able to find her measuring cups and remember where the baking pans are located. She sees a woman withdrawing as a defense against extreme fatigue and exhausting headaches as the crowd presents overwhelming stimuli that requires Herculean effort to buffer, filter, and sort. She lasted over a year at church using earplugs to help with this effort, but in the end that became insufficient. She sees someone who has read the Bible through annually for 25 years, neither looking at her Bible nor singing the hymns she used to know by heart from the hymnal, because the concentration required to read generates intense headache. Her daily devotions require an audio Bible. Any group interaction whittles her down, sadly truncating suddenly fellowship with the people that she has known and loved for the past 35 years. She witnesses a woman once quite adept socially become fearful of the faux pas and non sequitur that she could utter as she interacts, the anxiety building with each moment of contact. She becomes more of a listener than a talker, as she has lost some of her verbal skills. She understandably does not want to look foolish in public and panics at the thought. This woman retreats to the safety and security of her home, welcoming longtime friends for a visit, knowing from the quality of their relationship any shortcomings she might exhibit to them would be understood and loved. I'm going to take a break from this. I'll return to finish this entry in a few minutes, but I want to move on to read one entitled Up a Creek. I should have marked these earlier all ahead of time, but there'd be so many markers in the pages that would clutter things up. The title is Up a Creek, and this kind of highlights the dilemma that I had with deceit. Slumping on the edge of the bed, I sensed this was the point of no return. Things had moved so slowly to this point as to be nearly imperceptible. Then suddenly, we were on the brink of a new era. I sat there with the realization slowly soaking into my brain that things could never be the same from this time forward. As I looked across the space that separated us, my peripheral vision caught the blue carpet that passed between her chair and the bed. While contemplating our circumstance in my imagination, our bedroom carpet took on the appearance of a river that separated us, she on the one bank and I on the other. The Alzheimer's River that flowed between us has no bridges. It is cold and deep with a swift current that make it impossible for either of us to cross over to the other. We are both very alone on our opposite shores. We had not in our wildest imaginations pictured our marriage looking like this after 48 years. Technically, we're on the same page in that we both suffer from Alzheimer's, but she is the one with dementia. We can no longer communicate. We are unable to speak the same language, or at least the words that she uses have taken on new meanings, as have the words she hears others utter. That may be a better way to put it. I felt guilty tricking her with the medication. We have never had secrets. We were open and honest and trusted one another totally. It would be unthinkable for me to deceive her, yet I had done just that. I essentially lied to my trusting wife when I handed her the nightly glass of orange juice, and as wrong as it was the right thing to do. She has lost the capacity to judge rightly, and it was in her best interest for me to sedate her, as it was the only way to get her bathed. What a twisted turn of events. It has become a good thing for me to deceive the one who has trusted me to be honest with her. I guess it has become okay because she has also trusted me to do the right thing to take care of her. What began in high school 52 years ago as a relationship based on honesty has degenerated along with her dementia to become a life based on dishonesty. I pretend that I understand her when I don't. I slip downers into her beverage on the sly. I wheedle, jolly, and cajole to get her to eat, and I act as though her friend in the mirror is a real person. Last night she inquired, "I hope I'm not a problem." "I'm not a problem, am I?" I told her, "You're no problem, I love you." That seems to be the only honest thing I could continue to say. And now for my next, a little lighter, a little bit humorous perhaps. I kind of thought it was funny while I was going through it. Even though it wasn't funny while I was going through it, you'll understand when I read it. The title is Cleaning Solution, page 48. This is a non-serious look at my inexperience. I stood at the threshold of a new life and I knew it. As I stepped through that doorway, I was going to be leaving the familiar ways behind me and entering a world of mystery and perhaps misery. I thought myself quite brave. With no remorse and without regret, I walked into the room to face the challenge head on. That was 3 years ago when I realized house cleaning had become my responsibility. I remember walking through the kitchen area when my wife was able to do kitchen-type things. In my mind, I would wonder if cleaning the kitchen could be accomplished more efficiently than the way that she was going about the task. It seemed to me that there were too many steps in the process. Now I was going to have a chance to find out. 3 steps into the room, I stopped stone cold. The floor was perfectly flat. What? There was no grade to it, no slope. There goes my idea of hosing it down and using a squeegee to push the water out of the door towards the garage. I looked closely, nor was there a drain in the middle of the floor. And besides, there was no hose bib to be found anywhere. I had never noticed these deficits before, and the guy who built this house called himself a contractor? Ha! I took a step back to get the big picture. Yes, there was room enough to navigate, and I wouldn't need any of those little outlets or extension cords. But wait, I could see a potential problem with the pictures and stuff attached to the refrigerator with magnets and pretty little floral stickers, the kids' drawings and picture colorings, and the missionary prayer cards. Suddenly everything came into question. What about the curtains and the little wall clock? They could potentially be harmed as well by the gale forces from my backpack leaf blower. That approach wouldn't work either. I was experiencing culture shock. How would I cope? It's not that I was a complete foreigner to the ways and means of cleaning the kitchen. I helped Janie over the years by vacuuming or mopping the floor for her from time to time, but I was shocked to see that her way truly was the only way to clean a kitchen. I had always thought there must be a better way, but there was not. One must clean the countertops, sweep or vacuum, then mop the kitchen floor in that order. That's just the way it is. I'm going to design a husband-friendly home. For starters, there will be lots of tile with a large drain in the center of each room. Hose bibs with a 3/4-inch water supply will be located every 15 feet with storage for a 25-foot hose. Electrical outlets will have waterproof caps, and the cupboards will be stainless steel with watertight doors. In the carpeted areas, I'm planning a flip-up baseboard to house a full-length nozzle hooked to a powerful vacuum. Just flip a switch. Yeah, that'll do it. I suppose the suction power should be adjustable for each room to prevent the loss of pets or small children who may be playing on the floor. Perfect. A guy could get some serious cleaning done in a house that's set up like that. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. It's nice to reflect on those days. I want to read Sunglasses. It's a tribute to the caregivers that were so instrumental in our life at that time. In the transition between spring and summer, or between summer and fall, it's sweaters, jackets, or sweatshirts. In the dead of winter, it could be a heavy coat or umbrella. But in the summer, it's the sunglasses. Always the sunglasses. I answer the door and greet them as they enter with their sunglasses resting on the top of their heads, and we are all smiles and laughter as they assist me with the care of my wife. Inevitably, in the process of giving her a standing bed bath, she will reach out to affectionately pat someone on the head or grasp the bun on top of their head as she seeks better balance. Then the sunglasses have to go. They are removed so as not to be damaged or serve as a distraction. And that's where the problem begins. They always forget their sunglasses, and they suffer without them in the Reading sun until they return to our house and I hand them their misplaced shades. Today it reached 103 degrees, but in the early hours of this morning, the temperature was in the low 60s. Although 60 degrees isn't really all that cold, it's quite a range with a gap that would be comparatively cold when you consider the 105 degrees of yesterday and our high of today. So I wasn't surprised to see one of the caregivers arrive this morning wearing her hoodie, which she forgot, leaving it draped over the back of a chair at the end of her shift. But it's kind of nice. I mean, it's fair. They bring their expertise along with their smiles, laughter, and joy. And although they may or may not leave without their sunglasses, or in this case their hoodie, they leave with another installment of my wife's love for them to add to their growing collection of her special smiles and other evidence of her appreciation. Although Janie may be resistant to the care they offer at some times, she is appreciative on some level and thoroughly enjoys their company, and they know it. She can communicate those feelings, and they know what she is saying without any words from her. I have no sunglasses sitting on the end table waiting to be claimed tomorrow, but I do have a nice black, white, and gray hoodie hanging in the coat rack on the entryway. Thursday, the owner of that sweatshirt will return to unselfishly give of herself to meet the needs of our family as she again provides care for my wife. That is the part that seems unfair. Whether I'm returning a mislaid pair of sunglasses, an umbrella, or a forgotten sweatshirt, our caregivers leave us so much more than we can ever return. As they return over and over to fill a need for us, In addition to the occasional item they may forget to take with them, they leave a portion of their lives with us. And when they depart, our hearts are always overflowing with appreciation and thankfulness for the love and care we receive from all the caregivers that we have on our team. They truly make a difference in our lives. We love and appreciate each one of them. And then lastly, I want to return to the ending of Going, Going, which I began at the beginning today. She doesn't complain or whine. She keeps her concerns to herself, not wanting to trouble others with her problems. The result is that no one really knows or understands her state or how she copes. And cope she does. As a survivor-type personality and problem solver, she tries her hardest to get through each day with her headaches, and at times is exhausted by 6 or 7 in the evening. She would try harder if she could. My love is leaving. She is, as she describes it, going away. She is aware and watching the departure of the person that she was, but she doesn't ask why. She says, "He didn't have to save me, but he did. What can I say? He is God. He can do what he wants with my life. So if he wants me to have Alzheimer's, then I'll have Alzheimer's." Her mental compromise has not interfered with her spiritual perception. She waits for the rapture like all of us and knows with surety in the future in her glorified body, she will have a mind that will eclipse even her best days in this present world. Even so, come, Lord Jesus. Well, thank you for your interest and your time. I hope I didn't go too long today. I have been given a spot for a reading of Going, Going in association with my featured author of the hour on Friday. So I hope to see you there for a couple more vignettes so as to provide you with an overview of the diversity of the subjects covered in the book. Thank you again for visiting my virtual booth.